How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the athleteshubpod podcast, another weekly football roundup. And joining me as always to go through the latest ongoings in football is Mr. Flexx.
Yes. How we doing, Rich? How's it going?
Yeah, very good, Flexx. Very good. It's a Monday, so Mondays are like you just get through them, don't you? But here we are again. Another big weekend of football. I know you probably didn't enjoy your football this weekend, but we'll get to that soon. But no, I thought it'd be good. Obviously, as we do to go over, the weekend's results. I think we've got to start with the big game this weekend, which was Man City against Arsenal. And we did our preview show last week as well. And we spoke about what this match or the outcome of this game could mean for the title race in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, City got the win, 2-1 over Arsenal. I was watching it out with some mates, and it was just a case of it was a really tense game. I think it was a good game, to be fair. It was a good game. Turkey was brilliant. Bernardo Silva was outstanding. And I think O'Reilly, who we'll talk about in a minute, he was very good as well. But I mean, what did you make of the result? Do you think it was a fair result? And what do you think it does for the title race?
Yeah, no, I think it was a fair result based on the run of play. Arsenal did have a couple of good opportunities. They weren't able to capitalize on those opportunities. And in terms of what it does for the Premier League, it continuously makes it the most exciting league in the world to watch, which is always good for the neutral. And I guess we have a title race on now, so 5 games to go. Let's see who has the stamina to last to the end.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, obviously City have their game in hand. They played Burnley on Wednesday, so you're kind of expecting City to go to Burnley and win that game. But listen, this is football, man, and I guess we sit here and we think, well, we can't see an outcome where City don't beat Burnley convincingly and go ahead on goal difference. But the Premier League and football is not a normal sport, is it? Like, things can happen. But what do you think of? Because we said that, it's weird because we were sitting here for our roundups over the last few months, and I'm saying that, I can't see a scenario that Arsenal don't win the league because of the lead they've had. But you've always, remained that, listen, this team, they bottle it. They don't turn up for the big moments. And that could still happen. And I think it's so bizarre, man. And I'm thinking, City, again, if City win the Premier League, I don't think it's a case of them doing well, right? I look at it as a case of Arsenal had opportunities to close out the deal. And they didn't do that. And they allowed City to come back into it to create this scenario where we've got a shootout now. Right, because if City win on Wednesday, we've got a head-to-head essentially. So it's essentially who blinks first, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a who's blink first, and of course, Arsenal seem to be constantly blinking at this point, which is, it's not good news for, the Arsenal fan base. And look, to have the lead they've had, and for them to be in a position they were in to where they are now, is, I would say, they should be disappointed. But at the same time, there's still all to play for. You've got to kind of forget about yesterday's results, focus on the next game and the next game and the next game, and hope that Man City on their side have a slip up. It doesn't look like it.
You look at you're saying about focusing on the next game, right? But if you're Arsenal, if you're in Arsenal shoes, right, again with City, and you look at the momentum, and you look at the games they've won. They've won big games. They won, obviously, the Carabao Cup final. They beat Liverpool in the FA Cup quarterfinals, and they've beaten Chelsea away. And they've also won a big game at home to Arsenal, who they couldn't beat previously, to be fair.
Yeah.
You look at Arsenal's domestic results. They haven't won a game since probably, was it a Brighton away, maybe? That's a long time. So we're saying, focus on the next game, right? But domestically, Arsenal are not in a very good place right now, and I guess sometimes that plays into your thinking and into your mindset, and that's where it can kind of get tricky because I've got Newcastle next, and Newcastle can't win a game, we will talk about later on. But that all of a sudden is a difficult game now for Arsenal, especially at home where the crowd get on their back and maybe it's a bit tense. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they get on with that one.
No, it is. I mean, typically when they do play Newcastle, it's a difficult game. It's a game in the past where they've slipped up. But this time they've really got to forget about it, and they've really got to push on because there's a lot at stake here, considering the season that they've had and the way they've played throughout the season. I don't know where they go from here if they don't actually pull this one off. It becomes a very, very difficult conversation with the players, a very, very difficult conversation with the manager, and they need to win the Champions League or win the Premier League. They've got to do something. I mean, imagine, losing out on both. That's crazy. That would really be crazy. And yeah, we'll see how it goes.
You're not wrong, man. You're not wrong. I think, again, I feel like if they don't win the Premier League, I think the Champions League, listen, I don't think they'll win that. But if they do win it, that would be obviously something they've been chasing for years, right? But I think the Premier League, if they were to not win it after the lead they've had and what they've built up to this point, right, I feel like it would be difficult for this group to recover under Mikel Arteta, to be honest. I don't think, listen, they're still a good side and they're good players, right? But I think if they don't win it this season, I think they will find that hard to deal with, and I think they won't recover from that going forward. I feel like there have to be a change, whether it's the personnel in the squad, whether it's maybe the coaches, the manager. I think something will change because you can't keep coming this close and not winning it. Do you know what I mean? And I think as much as rival fans, we look at them and think, yeah, Arsenal, it's all fun and games for them to blow the lead, right? I think Mikel Arteta's work he's done, I think that deserves a crown. It deserves a trophy. It deserves something significant at the end of it. But you can't keep having these opportunities and not delivering. At some point, as you mentioned, there's got to be a conversation where it's like, well, what's the reason we're not achieving what we need to achieve? Because as much as people say it's his first job in management, there's been managers like Jose Mourinho had his first job in management years ago, and he won the Europa League, Europa Cup, he won the Champions League, he won the Premier League in his first tryout at Chelsea. At some point, managers have to deliver and have to get over the line, whether it's you're inexperienced or not. When you're in that position as Arsenal Football Club manager, or United manager, or Chelsea, Liverpool, you are in a position where you have to deliver something significant, whether that's a league title, whether that's a European Cup. So I guess as much as he deserves the credit, and he's got a lot of credit in the bank for where he's got them, there needs to be an outcome eventually, I think.
Yeah, there has to be. And that's what he's there for, right? He's there to create outcomes for the football club. And currently, he hasn't been able to create an outcome. And this is meant to be the year and the time, and everything is somewhat aligned for them to be able to finally create those outcomes that we speak of by way of winning major trophies, and it just hasn't happened. So we'll see. I mean, Arteta to me seems like a brilliant coach. I feel like the squad has been built with a lot of quality players, and he's got depth on the bench. I just feel like where he lacks sometimes is the substitutions that he makes. He likes to do a lot of like for like, which really doesn't change much. You don't really see only when he was really going for it yesterday, they went two up top. But there's countless of games where they could have tried to force the game, but they never did. He would just do a Saka for Madueke, a Gyökeres for Havertz or Jesus, or a Odegaard for Eze. It's like nothing inventive here. He's just doing like for like stuff, keeping it steady. Let's see if they genuinely don't win anything.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think yesterday, he picked the team well. I think the only thing that kind of baffled me was when he took off Eze, because I think Eze hit the post in the game, and we're thinking Arsenal are going to get close to scoring there. But I mean, I think the personnel was okay. I just felt as if it came down to chances, because I remember Havertz had the chance 1-on-1 with Donnarumma and he made the save. And I think he had the header late on in the game, and you're thinking he's got to bury that. But then again, he brings on Gyökeres in the 85th minute. And it's like, if you're chasing a goal, are you really going to wait 85 minutes to bring on the striker you've signed this summer to make a difference in these games? So that was the thing that was a bit strange there. But you're right. I think we have to see how they get on. It's set up nicely now. So remains to be seen how the season ends, really. And I'm looking forward to it, to be fair. I want to mention quickly Nico O'Reilly, because he was outstanding. Like, again, City were great. Cherki was very, very good. That brilliant goal. Bernardo Silva was everywhere yesterday. But I've got to mention Nico O'Reilly. I think he's really stepped up this season. Like, he's really become a key player in that Man City team. He scored in big moments. I know he had a difficult game at Real Madrid away a couple of months ago, but he's almost become City's secret weapon on the left-hand side, where he plays in midfield. He could play almost like a second striker. He's a left back as well. Like, he's been so good. I think he's probably the young player of the year, in my opinion, like how he stepped up for that team. I mean, what's your thoughts on him?
Yeah. Look, brilliant player. And for someone who's supposed to be a midfielder, playing out at left back and contributing to the game in many different ways, he's had a brilliant season. Very, very good season. And I think he's played himself into the World Cup squad for England, which is fantastic. It just also makes me wonder, Arsenal had a player like that in Miles Lewis-Skelly. And for whatever reason, he's not getting much game time and so on and so forth. And we see on the opposite side that Pep Guardiola is trusting the young bulls that he has in his team. So it's paying dividends. He's having a brilliant season. He may even, I think he has a shout to even win Player of the Year for Man City as well.
Yeah,
he's been that good. So let's see how that plays out.
Very good. I think Pep's utilising really, really well. And I think Pep has been very good over the years of kind of adapting players into certain systems and making them versatile, if that makes sense. You're not just, I remember when he did with Kimmich at Bayern Munich, where he brought him in. And so Pep's been very good. But I think O'Reilly's been so good, man. He's big, he's strong, he scores goals. You know, he's quick, he's good with the ball at his feet. He's got the whole package, man. And you're right. I think he's definitely earned himself a spot in the World Cup squad. I think for me, definitely he's a young player of the year for sure. All right, let's get to the tasty stuff now. Chelsea losing 1-0 at home to United at the Bridge. Again, there was no respect for the football. There's no protection for it on Saturday. And Cunha, managed to bag a very good finish. Only goal of the game. And I think quickly on United, I don't think it was a brilliant performance from United. I think I looked at the game and there were certain instances on the counter attack where I felt they were quite wasteful in terms of the final ball. And the final pass and just decision making. But I think defensively, Heaven was fantastic. I think Mainly was superb as well. And I think Lamens, the goalkeeper, he's been so good, man. I think it's weird because when we had Onana in goal and Bayern, it felt like all the focus was on goalkeepers. But since Lamens has come in there, we've not mentioned the goalkeeper once. And that shows you how good Lamens has been. But it was a good win for Michael Carrick. We lost to Leeds on Monday, so it's good to bounce back with a win there. But in terms of Chelsea, what was your thoughts on Chelsea? And in particular, Garnacho, he's coming for a lot of criticism since joining Chelsea. What was your thoughts on the game, Garnacho's performance, and where this leaves Chelsea?
Look, man, we all know Chelsea's in a very bad place at this moment, and maybe not even this moment. I'd say ever since the Blue Co sale. So it's been a very long, I guess, dragged out process of the club just falling, really, just taking a nosedive. Well, I mean, the game in itself, to be fair, hitting the woodwork 3 or 4 times, unlucky there to score a goal. I mean, I'll be honest, see the lap up front, I'm not filled with much confidence. See Garnacho, never wanted him anyway.
What do you make of his ball? Because he came with a lot of criticism. People saying that, since he's joined Chelsea, he hasn't really lived. I don't know what Chelsea. I think, listen, Garnacho, I think he's when at United, I thought he was a talented footballer. And I think I saw him in some of the Youth Cup games. I thought, okay, this is an exciting talent. But I think when Amorim came in, for whatever reason, he just didn't really kick on, and obviously left and went to Chelsea. But he's not really Chelsea. I don't want to say he's kicked on at all there. And I think the game on Saturday kind of summarised his time there.
Absolutely,
so far.
Absolutely.
What's your thoughts on all that? I don't know.
I just never rated him even when he was at United. So for me, I couldn't understand even why we went and purchased him. It's I just don't get it. He's not as good as we think he is, or as he thinks he is. That's my opinion. I just genuinely don't. He's not a Chelsea player. But then again, this is not the Chelsea team I know. Yeah. So what is a Chelsea player for this version of Chelsea, right? I have no idea. Couldn't tell you, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
it's a bit like an identity crisis at the moment at Chelsea.
Massively, in more ways than one. How is the club ran? There's an identity crisis there. What type of manager do we want? Identity crisis there. Player profiles, identity crisis is there. There's a whole load of identity crisis at this point. We don't know who we are, and it shows on the pitch. It shows with results. I mean, last 4 games, we've lost all 4 of them. The only teams we've been able to beat are teams that are Championship or League One teams.
Yeah, I think the last victory was against Port Vale, right, in the FA Cup.
This is my point. These are the teams that shows where we are. That's our level, because those are the teams that we're able to beat. Whenever we step to Premier League competition, we can't get it done. I don't think it's Rosenior's fault per se. I would say the dude only just got in. He needs a lot of time to understand what he's working with. He needs a lot of time to put his point across, his tactics across, etc., etc. So I'm not looking at him, because a lot of the times we go to the manager and say, the manager, but this, that, and the other. But the players are just not at the level. They're just not. And for me, yeah, we are where we
It's
are.
weird, there is it, because you see Chelsea have signed a lot of players who, for excessive amounts of money, right? You look at the likes of Caicedo, Enzo was there. And they weren't signed on the Rossinha, right? I get it. But Chelsea have signed players on huge money, right? And you're expecting, no matter if they're inexperienced or young. Now, I've always looked, and you mentioned as well, you don't know what Chelsea this is compared to the one you grew up watching, right? But we spoke about Liam Rossinha when he first came to Chelsea, and we with Dylan on that episode, and we were kind of surprised that they went for Rossinha. I think Rossinha's a good coach. I think he's done all right in the game in terms of being a number 2 somewhere and being a first team coach at other football clubs. But when you look at him at Chelsea, I'm thinking, if you're going to become a Chelsea manager, I always believed that the remit was to win something big, and it's not Rossinha's fault. I guess, again, he got there in January. But at the same time, when you look at Liam Rossinha, let's just say that Liam Rossinha was given all the money in the world to spend and he had all the players he needed, right? Do we look at Liam Rossinha in this modern football landscape and think, okay, this guy will deliver us either a Premier League or Champions League title? You could say maybe Champions League because Roberto Di Matteo won that in 2012 and he wasn't a great manager, right? But it kind of looks like, it feels as if the recruitment in terms of the coaches that the Chelsea have hired and also the players, it feels like it's not matching what the clubs make. Because we speak about philosophies and cultures of football clubs, right? Chelsea's philosophy is to win at all costs. It's just to win.
Yeah.
Whether that's to bring somebody in on 3-month contract, whether that's to bring somebody in on a 6-month contract, a year, 2 years, they bring coaches in there who wins. And to be Chelsea manager, I feel like you need to have the aura in the dugout. Conte had aura, Mourinho had aura, Ancelotti had the aura, right? And they all won the Premier League title. But you look at Rossinha now, you're just thinking, do you believe as a Chelsea fan that he's the guy to deliver you big trophies?
Look, I think Blueco, I go back to them. I think they are the reason why we wouldn't win big trophies. Like you mentioned, we've had managers that come into the hot seat and win because they have a structure and they have players that can win. If you're going to provide the manager with a bunch of boys who are just not up to that standard and whatnot, and then you also have a philosophy of rotating players because of injury or maybe injury concerns or are playing too much or whatever the case is, then you never build any real consistency game to game. And that then becomes a problem. And so I can't say that it's any manager's fault. There's a reason why Enzo Maresca left the club. This is part of it. So for me, I think Rossinha's come in because, of course, he's works with them at Strasbourg and whatnot. So it's an easy transition for him to just jump in. And why not? It's Chelsea. It's a big club. It's Premier League. I don't think it hurts his reputation taking a swing at it. So for me, I think he's got to try. There's nothing wrong. He's got to give it a go.
Yeah.
And so he's gone and done it, and let's see where it leads us as a club. I really don't look at Rossinha. I really don't look at the managers since Blueco's takeover. They've proven to be incompetent, and so for me, I just feel like, well, we are where we are because of them and not because of any manager. That's my thoughts and feelings to it. Yeah,
you're right. I mean, what's your thoughts on the chase for Champions League football? Do you think that you'll make? I know Rossinha said on Saturday that they've got a mountain to climb now.
That we do.
But when you look at the table, I think Chelsea at the moment in 6th position. Do you think that's gonna? I don't know. Are you confident they can land Champions League football this season? Because Liverpool won on Saturday as well, Villa won as well, so it's a pretty tight race up there.
It's a tight race. Am I confident in us getting the UCL? No. Position, I don't think that's. I think that's beyond us now as a club. I think that's beyond us as a club. Yeah, I think so. I feel like we don't have the support and infrastructure in the ways that we used to have it before. Before we used to buy Champions League ready players. Before we used to buy players that would be ready to compete in such competitions and compete to win the league. And if you don't win the league, guess what? You're in the Champions League. That's where we are. now we are kind of where Arsenal was years back, where you're just trying just to be in Europe, and then you kind of build on from there and see where you go. And that's unfortunately just not good enough. And that's where we are. And we just have to accept it. I feel like we just got to look at it as, you know what, we might have to sit the next 5 to 10 years out. And that's just where we are.
I never thought I'd hear Chelsea fans saying you have to sit the next 10 years out. You guys, again, last 20 years, Chelsea have been the team that I'm looking at and thinking, yeah, this team, like, regardless of how all over the place that their recruitment structure was under Abramovich, this team recruited serious business, serious candidates in a dugout, serious players, as you mentioned, on the pitch. So I think you saying that they should sit the next either 5 or 10 years out says a lot about where the club is right now, to be honest.
I would say it like Ange Postecoglou used to say, it's just who we are, mate.
We are, mate. And that is a good cue to move on to the next topic. And speaking of Ange Postecoglou, his former club Tottenham, they were in a relegation battle. And Saturday, 2-2 draw against Brighton, last-minute equaliser from Brighton as well. And that felt like a real loss to Tottenham because Xavi Simons scored a brilliant goal to make it 2-1. And then, I don't know, it's weird because I was watching the second half, you could kind of feel that Brighton were going to score because the pressure was on there. And I think Spurs' position now, right, the draw felt like a loss because they need 3 points. Leeds won as well on Saturday, Forest won on Sunday. So Spurs are in a position now where they have to get wins. They can't afford to get draws. And I think that last-minute equaliser just felt like a bit of a dagger. And Danso received racist abuse, unfortunately, after the game. And do you know what? It's weird. When the mistake happened, right, and it's weird, I think every time a black player makes a mistake, I'm thinking, I know what's going to happen next. and Bobby had it against Sunderland last week where he received racial abuse and Sunderland came out with a statement. And that's really unfortunate that we're still talking about this stuff in 2026. But I just knew what was going to happen. Listen, Spurs, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, we kind of know, the patterns of these things here, you go play a game and, you flatter to deceive or whatever the case is. And, there's other players on the pitch as well. And, they just seem to target you. Yeah, I mean, we know how that goes.
Because the player who scored your second goal, he was black as well, so...
This is just how it goes. I mean, like we ain't surprised. We know.
Yeah, you're right. For us, I just knew black player makes mistake. You just know what's going to come. You just know what's coming, which is unfortunate. But listen, Tottenham drawing 2-2. I mean, listen, they're in the thick of it at the bottom now. Forest winning, like I said before, Leeds picking up results. West Ham play on Monday. I mean, what do you make of Spurs' chances of staying up? Do you think they're really in the thick of it now? Would you make them favourites to go down?
I mean, we'll see what West Ham do when their game comes about, right? Yeah. I think that's what we got to wait and see because it's between the two of them now, ain't it? Really. So we've got to see what happens and takes place in that game, and then we can then take stock and see where things lie in regards to
right.
Spurs. Yeah, I mean, if West Ham are able to pick up 3 points, then the picture does look very bleak for Hotspurs. But if West Ham don't pick up 3 points, then the conversation shifts a little bit and then it becomes more intriguing. So we just have to wait and see, really, and see where this journey takes them. I mean, right. I personally, just for the shock value of things, it'll be good to see Spurs go down. And it's a very big signal and big sign to say no club is too big to go down. And that's, a good demonstration for other clubs like Chelsea to take stock. That you've got to run the ship correctly and you've got to, do what you got to do to make sure that this ain't us, and so that's what it is. But
that's it.
We'll see.
That's it. You're right. We'll see. I think we'll go down to the last day. I think the relegation will go all the way to the final day, the Premier League as well. So I think we're in for two very good races, top and the bottom of the Premier League.
Absolutely.
But Liverpool got a last-minute winner yesterday. Van Dijk getting the header against Everton in Merseyside derby. Looks like they've had a bit of a tricky spell on a slot under pressure. But Van Dijk getting a goal, I think maybe that eases the pressure a little bit on Slot in their quest for Champions League football. Do you think they can make it into the top four?
Yeah, I think they'll be able to do it. I think they'll get that. They'll get their act together enough to qualify for the Champions League. So I don't really have much to say about Liverpool. I mean, they all want Slot out. For me personally, he's delivered the league. So he's bought some grace, he's bought some time. I feel like if he has another run like he's had this season, next season, then possible conversations could be had. But he would have learned a lot this season, more than he would have last season. So we'll see how it looks like, where now he doesn't have the pressure of having to deal with big name players like Salah. So we'll see how he goes about that. And if that's the case, then I feel like they also need reinforcements on the goalkeeper side, because I think Dashvili is not really the guy. I feel like if they've had Alisson more than they've had Dashvili, there would have been more points on the board, because Dashvili is just really poor. I thought he was a decent goalkeeper, but he really isn't a decent goalkeeper. So yeah. We'll see how that all plays out.
So that one goes, you're right. I think it'll be interesting for Liverpool end of the season, also see what happens in the summer with Arne Slot's future. But before we finish off, actually, there's two managers we can focus on quickly. I think Eddie Howe suffered defeat at home to Bournemouth on Saturday, and the pressure's really cranked up in Eddie Howe, and they currently lie, I believe, they're 15th in the Premier League table, 14th in the Premier League table. And this is a club who won the Carabao Cup last year, had a few seasons in the Champions League. But it also feels like under Eddie Howe now that maybe the cycle's coming to an end. And I like Eddie Howe as a coach. I really like him. I think he's a good coach. I think he improves players, importantly. Obviously, he's English. I like his demeanour as well. And but it just feels as if maybe the fans are starting to kind of get a bit grumpy now, and you can kind of sense that something's changing in Newcastle. I mean, do you expect him to still be there next season?
Yeah, because where are they going to go, right?
Well, that'll bring me on to my next topic in a little bit. But yeah, listen, I think he's built up enough credit at Newcastle, but you're 14th in the Premier League. You lost two derbies, northeast derbies this season. It just feels as if the wheels are coming off a little bit, and Newcastle used to go from strength to strength to strength in the season, but it feels like now they're kind of ending the season now where they can't pick up a win. They've got Arsenal next. You're probably expecting Arsenal, maybe they can get a result at home against them, but it just feels like at the moment Newcastle just want the season to end. And yeah, Eddie Howe's going for a bit of a tough spell, but I like Eddie. And will he be there next season? I hope so, but the noises coming out of Newcastle at the moment suggest that maybe he won't be there next season.
I mean, if he's not, it's rather unfortunate, because it's not his fault that the club is in a position where FFP and all of these things, they can't take real advantage of it, which is a shame. And it just hasn't clicked with Waltemada and Wisa, and they lost Elanga, which is a big one. No, they signed Elanga. My bad. I said they signed Elanga. Gordon being injured and not available hasn't helped in parts, and so
people they talk about Gordon, but a lot of the Newcastle fans this season have been on Gordon's back, even though he's been probably one of their better players this year. A lot of the fans at Newcastle have been on Gordon's back, but it goes back to the recruitment, and I said that at the time. I think Newcastle's recruitment didn't kick on after they lost Isak. It didn't kick on. They didn't sign the players they had to sign. They signed Whisper, who hasn't done it. Waltemada has been hit and miss this season. Langa has been hit and miss, to be honest. They haven't kicked on, and that's the problem. The signings they've made haven't helped them, and I think that's why they've suffered this season, to be honest.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It's literally everything you've said. And so, will he get another crack at the whip? It's a tough one to call. Where they are in the league and so on. We've always thought, you know what, they will be European regulars. Doesn't seem like that's the case. They've got to go back to the drawing board and see what they can do. So it's a tough one.
Remains to be seen. But that brings us to our last subject. We speak about managers. Andoni Iraola has confirmed that he's leaving Bournemouth at the end of the season, and this is a manager who will be in high demand because of the great job he's done there. You speak about losing players, right? Bournemouth have lost a couple of players as well, and it doesn't seem to affect them that much. And that shows you what a great young coach Iraola is. And he's leaving Bournemouth at the end of the season, and I think there'll be a lot of takers because there could be a lot of vacancies this summer, not just in the Premier League, but also around Europe. Where do you think he could end up potentially?
Well, rumor has it that he's going to be at Atletico Bilbao, because that's where he's from, and so on and so forth.
I think he played like 400. Did he play like maybe roughly 400 games for Bilbao?
Wow, thereabouts. So they feel like they've got a good chance of bringing one of their own back. And so if that's a job that's available, unless if the likes of Real Madrid come calling, I don't know. I feel like that's where he'll go. I don't see, if like Eddie Howe, is relieved of his duties, I don't feel like this guy, Iraola, will say, "Oh, I'm going to go from Bournemouth to Newcastle," because right now Bournemouth is better than Newcastle. So there's no reason to want to jump ship in that way. So
then again, if he put out a little more to spend at Newcastle because of the ownership there, as much as there's PSR rules, but still, you might think, well, Newcastle's still a very big club and they could potentially spend a lot more than Bournemouth could spend. So that could be, but I get it. It could potentially be seen as a sideways step as opposed to a progressive step.
Yeah, and that's what I think he'll feel. And there's always something where your old club calls you back, and if the situation is good and right over there, I could see him just dialing in and going back over there. Because even if he does a decent job over there, he would still be kept in high regard everywhere else. So there will be opportunity for him, in the future to be at I wouldn't like to call these clubs like not top clubs, but I say it with the kindest of hearts, like, a top club, a club that's able to fight for various honors.
Yeah, makes sense. I think it remains to be seen. But listen, there'll be a lot of interest in the summer regarding Iraola's future. But listen, that'd be a good place to end it. Flexx, as always, it's been a pleasure. Guys, again, please do follow us on Instagram. We're on TikTok now. Don't forget, we're also on X as well. And of course, please, as always, do like and subscribe on YouTube. Leave your comments down below. What's your thoughts on the title race? What's your thoughts on Iraola's future? Again, thoughts on Chelsea. Chelsea going through a bit of a sticky spell right now. Let us know your comments down below. Flexx, as always, has been very, very good. And guys, we'll see you in the next episode.
Take care.